Working in a blue-collar trade can be highly rewarding, but the thing is, it comes with its own set of challenges. Here are 5 harsh realities about working in the blue-collar world. Let's hop into harsh reality number 1, the physical demands and health risk. Now, we all know blue-collar trades, jobs, careers are, for the most part, physical, demanding work. Whether you're an iron worker or a welder or electrician or an HVAC tech or a lineman, it doesn't matter what trade, you're always bending over, you're always on your feet, you're always moving heavy objects, or just you're always moving around. Whether you're in tight spaces or you're climbing a pole or you're high up on a building somewhere walking across some steel beams, it's physically demanding to work in a skilled trade. Not to mention there's trades out there where you're often exposed to hazardous materials and working around heavy machinery and equipment, which often results in injuries. Working off ladders, ladders is one of the, working off a ladder, off a roof or something like that is one of the biggest reasons why, or one of the biggest injuries statistics that are out there is people falling off ladders. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, in 2022, 2.7 cases per 100 full-time workers, with construction and manufacturing being in the top sector. Additionally, blue-collar workers are often exposed to having things like arthritis and back pain and things like knee injuries and shoulder injuries and things of that sort, just due to the physical nature of the job. Now, I'm 27. Yes, I have some shoulder pain, I have some back pain. This is why I always tell people, if you want to get to a blue-collar trade, it's important to take care of your body, go to the gym, try to eat good, things like that, things that are in your control, because ultimately if you want to pursue a blue-collar career and you're getting started young, it will take a toll on your body. That's just the fact of the matter. And just do your part, and your part is just try to take care of your body, eat healthy, go to the gym, stretch, do all the appropriate things that you need to do to take care of your body. Maybe go to a massage appointment once in a while, go to the chiropractor. There's many ways you can kind of mitigate the risk and things like that, physical injuries that you may acquire from working in a skilled trade. Harsh reality number 2 is job insecurity and economic vulnerability. Many blue-collar jobs, careers, trades face job insecurity and vulnerability, especially during economic downturns or when there's issues in the economy or when there's shifts in the industries. Here's the reality. Layoffs and reduced hours can be very common. Many blue-collar workers face job insecurity and economic instability, particularly during economic downturns and industry shifts, especially in industries affected by economic cycles and automation. Here's a couple statistics. The unemployment rate for blue-collar workers is typically higher than that of white-collar workers. For instance, in 2022, the unemployment rate for blue-collar workers was 6.8% compared to 4.2% for all other occupations. So that includes white-collar jobs, office people, things of that nature. Economic downturns can lead to significant job losses. COVID-19 during the years of 2020, 2021, 2022, into 2023 was a great example of that. Blue-collar jobs were disproportionately affected compared to that of white-collar jobs. Depending on how the economy goes, like for right now is a great example. If the economy's not doing great, there's some sectors that can be highly affected. I know the lineman trade definitely can be affected because of economic downturns or downshifts, material shortages, those sorts of things. That all has a big snowball effect. It can definitely happen, if you're not able to get 200 amp panels and you're an electrician, you're trying to do electrician work for residential houses, but you can't get the panels, well, that's going to cause you to, I can't even get the job done because I can't get a panel. So that's just one example of if there's an economic downturn and all manufacturing's overseas and there's an issue with shipping and manufacturing and you can't get the appropriate material to get the job done, that's just one example of why blue-collar jobs can be affected from economic issues. Harsh reality number 3, lower wages and limited career advancement. Blue-collar jobs often have lower income than that of white-collar jobs comparably, with limited opportunity to kind of move up or to make more money. Here's the reality. Many blue-collar workers earn lower wages and have fewer opportunities for promotions or career advancements Now, this isn't true in every blue collar trade there is out there. I know you do have to put your time in, you do have to build your name, depending on if you're doing like HVAC residential or if you're working in an industrial setting like a lineman or a steam fitter. It's kind of yes, you can move up to become a foreman and eventually general foreman and maybe even a supervisor, but those things can take years and build your name for yourself, and those sorts of things are going to have an effect on it. But regardless, you can move up. Not saying you can't, but it can be a little bit harder. Now, the median annual wage for a blue collar worker in 2022 was $38,910 a year, compared to the median white collar annual wage of $74,410 a year. Now, that's a pretty big gap, and I don't know if that was a source from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I don't know if those white collar jobs, if those are people like coming right out of college, which I have seen that, people who have come out with a 4-year degree as, engineer or something, depending on where you want to classify as white collar. But regardless, that statistic is pretty alarming. 34,000 versus 75,000. That's a $40,000 annual wage gap. That's pretty big. Wage growth in blue collar sector has also lagged significantly behind the white collar sector. And that's a big issue, especially if we have this, skilled labor shortage. There's a reason why, young people aren't wanting to get into it. It's because they see a dollar sign of like $39,000 a year to bust my butt, break my back. No. And they can see, well, why don't I just get a white collar job, do sales or be an internet guru, and I can make $100,000 a year and I don't have to do all that physical labor. It all makes sense. It all kind of, if you look at it from that standpoint, it's like, wow, that is true. No wonder nobody wants to get into the blue collar world. It obviously all depends on what blue collar trade you get into, because I know lineman trade or iron workers, electricians, plumbers, HVAC, oil field, welders of sorts. Man, there's a lot of trades out there that you won't make just $39,000 a year. You'll probably make, starting out, $60,000 upwards to 6 figures. There are trades out there that can make fantastic money, but that $39,000, it's probably average across the country for someone kind of getting into it and starting out in their first few years. Harsh reality number 4, long and unpredictable hours. Here's the thing, blue collar workers often face irregular hours, long shifts, weird hours, working overnight, swing shifts and things like that, depending on what trade you work in. Whether, like my dad, he works in a paper mill back in the town where I'm from. And I remember him used to having to work, night shifts or a swing shift. If you're a lineman, you're getting called out, you're working storms and things like that, irregular hours. You're not working 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Now I'm working 5:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and I start at 5:30, so I'm up at 3:30 in the morning and I get off at 3:30. So that's a 12-hour day right there, and that's an irregular schedule. And that's Arizona, of course, because it's getting pretty hot, so we're starting earlier in the day to try to capitalize on a little bit cooler weather. That's a lot of construction workers. That's just not linemen. That's almost all blue collar workers in the state of Arizona are starting pretty early in the morning to try to beat the heat. And it's not common, if you work in a residential trade like HVAC or electrician or plumbing, and your company does storm or emergency calls, right, where someone's water just stops working or their well pump goes out, or for some reason their lights are flickering in their house or their AC stops working, they get called out on the weekend or on a weeknight or something like that. Irregular hours, long hours, weird hours, that's part of the blue collar world. And you're not really going to see that so much in the white collar sector. And that's just part of the blue collar trades. Now in 2022, blue collar workers averaged 44.8 hours a week compared to a white collar individuals working on average 34.5 hours a week across all sectors. Now that's a pretty big difference. That's almost 10-hour difference. I could tell you most blue collar workers, depending on the trade, but most trades are just working 40 hours a week. They're normally working 40, 50, 60, even 70 hours a week. The thing about working these hours, the imbalance, spending time with your family and those sorts of things, that can have an effect on relationships, and you might miss some holidays or birthdays and things of that sort. Now, from my experiences, that's not all the time, but there are people out there that they do get greedy. They do take the call outs. They do all the hours they can so they can make the most money. And then that can create some turmoil and things like that inside their family and friendship relationships. I feel like at the end of the day, sometimes that's kind of up to the worker itself, like if you want to accept those type of things. But there are instances where you're going to have to take those calls, work those long hours, work those weekends, or work the night shift. And that's just part of it. Harsh reality number 5 is limited access to benefits. Most blue collar workers do have limited access to benefits such as like healthcare, retirement plans, and paid time off. I will say for me, like I don't have paid time off. I don't have vacation time. If I have to take a week off, I'm not getting paid for it. I do have great healthcare and I do have a great retirement plan within the union, but like paid time off, I don't have. And here's the reality of it. Many blue collar jobs do not offer comprehensive benefits, which ultimately leaves workers vulnerable to financial stress and inadequate healthcare. If you have a wife, kids, a family, healthcare definitely is not cheap. And if the company you're working for or wherever you're working in the blue collar world, they don't offer great healthcare or that sorts of things, you're paying for out of pocket, that's going to create stress financially, and then not to mention having to worry about that sort of stuff is a stress that many of us don't like to have. Now, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics in 2022, only 50% of workers in construction had access to employer-sponsored health insurance, compared to in the white-collar jobs, 92% of employees had employer-sponsored health insurance. Again, that's a pretty big gap. That's almost 50% between the blue-collar and the white-collar world. 50% compared to 92%. See, that is a harsh reality to deal with. Lack of benefits such as sick leave, leave workers to going to work ill or sick, and having no other choice because you don't have, PTO or paid time off for sick or vacation time. But you got to make the money. You got to make your wage so you can support your family and whatever else you got going on in life. So you can't necessarily just afford to take time off. And now also that has a whole snowball effect. If you're showing up to work sick, you have the risk of getting other people sick, and then your mind's probably not in the right spot, and then that can create accidents or injuries, and then just has a whole other effect on work. Those are 5 harsh realities about getting started in a blue collar world. Blue collar workers, there are a lot of just realities, right? I mean, there are benefits, don't get me wrong, but those are 5 that I could think of that we face out here in the blue collar world. Ultimately, I see a shift changing because of the lack of blue collar workers in the unemployment, and there's a big labor gap shortage right now. I see some of these things changing, healthcare, benefits and things like that, and making more money. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a massive shift because there has to be, because we need workers to come and work. And that's just another reality that I personally think is going to happen. Those are 5 harsh realities. Hopefully you can learn from this video. With Blue Collar EDU, I'm here to expose, teach, educate you about blue collar career opportunities and things that'll help you get started in a skilled trade. Those are 5 harsh realities about getting into the blue collar world. With that being said, I'll catch you on the next one.